Welcome to For Good Measure, an interview series celebrating diverse composers and other creative artists, sponsored by a grant from the California Arts Council. I'm Nanette McGuinness, Artistic Executive Director of Ensemble for these times. In this week's episode, we continue our conversation with Hitomi Oba, who we spoke to in December 2023. Like you, many of the composers we talked to on For Good Measure have moved from LA to the Bay Area, or vice versa. And so I always ask in these cases, are there differences you feel in the musical cultures in the two regions? What do you like about where you are? What do you like about where you were? Would you change anything? And we've gotten a little of that as you've gone along, but this is your opportunity to kind of consolidate what you've been saying in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I left the Bay Area pretty long ago as a resident. I left in 2002.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's been a while. It's been a while, and I'm familiar through occasional performances and also through people I know there, including Erica, my sister. Um, but yeah, it hasn't been my home base for a long time, so I don't know if I'll have as much insight as, people who've made the move recently. Educationally, I know just I benefited so much from, the educational programs in the Bay Area, and that's something that I'm not as familiar with down here. So I guess I'll have somewhat more of a comparison as my children, grow up as LA people, Long Beach people. In terms of the music scene, so just speaking to Los Angeles, um, obviously the commercial and entertainment industry is huge, right? So
Yeah.
um, there are always there are always some relationships related to that work, that might be with your chamber music players, also have it's a, your whoever's doing a production for television or whatever, like everybody seems interwoven into that professional landscape somehow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is so important because of, financial support. So it seems like a lot of times, both in the kind of like jazz and the classical world, it seems like people are somewhat willing to kind of engage with creative projects, even if they are not that financially, beneficial, because they have, maybe they had a good movie, studio
Mm-hmm.
session, or,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like that's really important that, and obviously, this isn't the case for everybody. A lot of people are financially very shaky, and it's that's a problem in and of itself. But I think the fact that there is work for a fair number of people does
Mm-hmm.
allow for there to be creative space. And I think it seems like a lot of people are wanting to engage with creative music after engaging with, more commercial music and such. So that's always encouraging when you go into space and people are like, they're doing it for not as much as you'd like to pay them, or that you'd
Right.
like to get paid. But
Tell me about it.
yeah, and of course that is a problem too. Everybody should be getting paid, but I think just speaking to the enthusiasm, I guess, is what, that I do cherish, so there seems to be an enthusiasm for creative music,
Mm.
maybe because there is more work. I'm not sure. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I think the things I like about LA, like in particular, is that it is kind of much like just its like social landscape. The musical landscape also has a lot of pockets of vibrant communities.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so there's like a huge mariachi scene, there are like several taiko groups, like there are all these like small pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of how the city's laid out. It's actually quite segregated.
Yeah.
But there's like Koreatown, and there's Japan, but it also results in a lot of different vibrant communities of music, and it's also a very large city, right? If you include like Long Beach and all of LA County, it's very big. And so also in music, there is also a lot of interaction between these various musical communities.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a huge thing. There's always a lot going on, it feels like,
Mm-hmm.
and there are people practicing at a very high level in a lot of different fields. So I
Right.
think that's inspiring. You can find inspiration like everywhere outside of your field, within your field.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it's vibrant. I guess there's no other word for it. It's very vibrant. The detriment is that, again, it is very large, geographically spread out. So I don't know. That seems to be a big problem. Maybe people can't access things as much as they would like, right? So I don't know. If it were easier to get to places, then that would, I think, connect things even more.
Traffic and
But
public transportation being an issue.
hmm I think the bus system is actually like it's a good network. It goes everywhere,
Oh,
but it's
great.
slow. It takes a long time. And if, it's a large city and county. So I don't know. I think they're working on the train system, but I think there's a lot that needs to be done, and then traffic. Yeah, just taking care of traffic. So, yeah, from an environmental standpoint, also an
Yeah.
accessibility standpoint, it's not great.
No.
Um, Speaking of accessibility, like, yeah, things that you mentioned, like, what would I change? Like, I think accessibility in terms of, like, so we just mentioned transportation, but also, like, there are still like accessibility issues in terms of like finances, or like,
Right.
maybe age, for
Hmm.
like, especially for like my jazz students, there are a lot of I guess blocks they hit in terms of
Right.
accessibility. And then now that I'm a parent, I'm seeing more of the like family, circumstances inhibiting people from accessibility, and with both transportation and time, right? So like, for people in, my peer group right now, it's like we're expected to show up places professionally, right? Even if you're not, being hired, right? You want to be attending things, but they all
Right.
take place when, you're supposed to be with your children, because, or you could hire a babysitter, but that's when they're most expensive. And, it's like there aren't concerts during the day where you could actually just bring your kids to, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like, I don't know. I know my university would, like, they proposed like maybe a small fund for, like, low level professors to be able to like get childcare to attend concerts or something. It
Wow.
floated, but it never manifested.
Hmm.
So there's still this like kind of unequal burden on certain demographics of people in terms of
Right.
music accessibility. So that's something that I think can be approached from a lot of different angles.
Right.
But yeah, LA is pretty vibrant. There are a lot of people moving here, I think, from the East Coast, especially. I know,
Hmm.
especially in the jazz scene, a lot of um, people are moving from New York, so things are getting, yeah, it's very exciting right now, I think. Wish there were more venues, but it's
Oh
exciting.
gosh, that's always such an issue. It comes up in meetings up here too, all sorts
Really?
of, when you get troubleshooting or thinking about the area, what can we do? Venues with pianos,
Yeah.
venues
Yeah.
where the rental is not prohibitive, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a constant thing. Venues where it isn't the huge symphony hall that isn't necessarily appropriate to the kind of new music or
Right.
improvisational or exploratory music.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many factors. So many factors. Yeah.
Yeah.
But people are getting creative though, it seems like, right?
Yeah, they
Like,
are. No,
right?
they're always creative. But it sounds to me that a lot of the things you're talking about in terms of LA are the non-musical things affecting the musical
Mm,
scene, which is really interesting,
mm,
right?
absolutely. And yeah, again, I think it'll take a lot of people thinking about it, approaching it from like a lot of different angles.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Just like climate change, you
Right.
know, getting lots of
Exactly.
people, it has to get to percolate to a certain level, and then everybody is all of a sudden deciding to focus on problem solving in that arena.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely. It
things
takes a lot
happen.
of people. Absolutely. From a lot of different angles.
Thank you for listening to For Good Measure, and a special thank you to our guest, Hitomi Oba, for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast by clicking on the subscribe button, and support us by sharing it with your friends, posting about it on social media, and leaving us a rating and a review. To learn more about E4TT, our concert season online and in the Bay Area, or to make a tax-deductible donation, please visit us at e4tt.org. This podcast is made possible in part by a grant from the California Arts Council and generous donors like you. For Good Measure is produced by Nanette McGuinness and Ensemble for These Times and designed by Brennan Stokes, with special thanks to co-producer and audio engineer Stephanie M. Neumann. Remember to keep supporting equity in the arts and tune in next week for Good Measure.